belong. Yeah, we sat down and we cried when we remembered Jerusalem. We were sick, Lord, near to dying. Oh,
Shalom, shalom, family, and welcome to another Tanakh review. My name is Zurishaddai, one of the teachers of congregation D.C.B, CHOKMAH, located in the Red Hook section of Brooklyn. Thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for life, food, clothing, and shelter, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Thanking the Creator for all things and everything, waking us up this morning. And I bid to you all an early Shabbat Shalom, praying that the Most High God would continue to bless each and every one of us, and thanking the Creator of heaven and earth for granting us this time to be here together, to be able to expound on His word. Before we get started, I'd like to give due respect to the leader of our place, even Chief Prince Yehudah Ben Yisrael, thanking the Most High God for his life, the life of his family, of his household, and also thanking the Most High God for all of the officers and brothers and sisters of the congregation, and all of you who are on the internet land. We thank you for tuning in and for joining us. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Don't forget to smash that like button in order to, so that more, the more you like the video, the more it will get out to people who need to hear this word. So without any further ado, we're going to move straight ahead, and I'm going to pass it to one of my teachers and my mentors, even Nasik Zurishaddai Ben Yehudah. How are you, Nasik?
Great, Baruch Hashem. First of all, I give praises to the supreme intelligence of the universe, God of my forefathers, God of Abraham, God of Isaac, God of Jacob. Due respect to the platform on the D.C.B channel platform, spiritual leader, Chief Prince Yehudah Ben Yisrael, to the host, Chief Uzael, to the princes, Chief Kohanim, Rabbinate, Maureen, brothers and sisters, visitors to the channel. I greet you in the tongue of my forefathers, Shalom Aleichem, and early Shabbat Shalom. I'd like to first start off with Adonai Septai Takofia Giti Theaka, O Lord, down my lips, and my mouth should declare that praise. And been a pretty thoughtful week, with a few people making transitions, and also I like to just found out that Ima Elisha, South Carolina, a sister that made transition up here in New York. And I like to say, may God comfort you and your family amongst all the other mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. My sincere condolences to the family. I happen to know her sister, and the sister was very, very, easygoing, very thoughtful person, all around good person. So sometimes, we figure people leave too soon for us, but she had a decent amount of time that the Creator granted her. So she definitely should be surely missed. So that being said, we'll be talking about the portion in Leviticus, which we're almost near the end of the book of Leviticus, Wayikra, and he called. And we're this portion that we'll be reading in the book of Leviticus is called Behar, and it starts with which means in a mount, but you can also say on a mount, which I'm going to speak on in a moment. And it starts from the 25th chapter of Leviticus, and it ends the second verse of the 26th chapter. So what we have here, we just finished about holy convocations in the last portion, and showbread about punishment for somebody that blasphemed the name of God, the Creator. So, and we was talking about leaving the land, we was talking about as far as, well, I didn't get to it myself. It's part of different civil laws, which is such as punishment for murder, punishment for slaying the beast, punishment for mayhem. So we didn't touch on those. I hope a lot of the people that's online finish that chapter and read it and look at it, and there's some pretty interesting things there to be discussed. I had one question that I've seen. As you see, I'm out of town now. I'm up in New York City, and they had a question about I believe one of the viewers asked that after the service on Shabbat, is it all right for their children to play video games? So hence, for my question, the question that I addressed last time that was a little late about electronics. For the most people that's real strict, the video games will be like electronic, even battery operated, whatever the case is. It depends, how observant you are in that area. But one thing, if it was board games like checkers, chess, or little board games like that, then that wouldn't be a violation, of the Shabbat itself. Once you did the service and you take a break and relax and stuff like that, mind stimulating games. That's because it's supposed to be an oneg Shabbat, a Shabbat of delight. So in that case, but you could discuss those things. I never know. I know all the different people that watch this particular program, how strict their observance they are. A lot of people that's in strict observance, no electronics at all. And as I spoke on last time, and I made the issue about the elevator when I was in Jerusalem, stopping on every floor. And I said, you discussed that with your various, leadership and your various surroundings, how far and how stringent you're going to observe. I'm not advocating for people to be lax on Shabbat, but I do advocate people to be more enlightened about the do's and don'ts on Shabbat. And then that way, you're being informed about the 39 malakot, as they talk about in reference to forbidden works, and you be informed about some things that how they come about and how they added it, and understand is the best thing when it comes down to the portion. So Bahar means Har is mountain. So Bahar in the mountain. It said in the 25th chapter, said, "The Lord spoke unto Moses in the Mount Sinai, saying, I speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, when you come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep Shabbat unto the Lord. 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyard, and gather in the produce thereof. But in the 7th year shall be a Sabbath of solemn rest for the land, a Sabbath unto the Lord. Thou shalt not neither sow thy field, nor prune thy vineyard. That which groweth of itself of thy harvest thou shalt not reap, and the grapes of thy undressed vines thou shalt not gather. It shall be a year of solemn rest for the land, and the Sabbath produce of the land shall be for food for you, be for food for you, for thee, and for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, and for the settlers by the side that sojourn with thee, and for thy cattle, and for the beasts that are in thy land, shall all the increase thereof be for food." So now, what is so important? Because this pretty much ended, from the time of the Babylonian period, after the Babylonian exile, for us to observe it. And it's always a question, was it ever truly, really observed on a nationalistic scale? So that's one thing concerning the Sabbath, the sabbatical year of the land. It's always enumerated and talked about, but how deep is observed? In Israel today, they observe a sabbatical year, but a Shemitah, but they don't, actually, they announce a Yovel, but actually observing a Yovel is always a question about that. I'll try to, be brief on it and not so extensive. But the opening here, it say, are you in a mountain or on a mountain? Quebec could be in or on or with. If you're in a mountain, that brings another metaphorical idea and concept. That means you are pretty much hinged in by your environment. And if you on a mountain, then that means you had conquered your environment. So you could have that concept to think about one way or the other. And now it's talking about the land. Man was put here to have dominion over everything, and also, tend to the earth. Man himself made of the least particles of the earth, which is afar, which is dust. Afar is dust. And that's like residue. I mean, what could you do with really dust? So that's what man is. But yet, he works the ground, and when he works the ground, you figure, why would the book start off talking about the Shabbat and then work working the land? It should seem like you work the land and you reach a Shabbat, but it started off talking about the Shabbat first, and then go on into about working the land, which is seemed backwards, because we was told it, even from Exodus, the 20th chapter. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all that work, and on the 7th day thou shalt rest and cease from the work. And we told why, we must cease. So, and we given more elaborate meanings later, and then also it's used as a sign. But now the question arises: do we work? Do we eat to live? To enjoy our fruits of our labor. So we just work, eat, and live to enjoy the fruits of our labor? Or do we work and live to enjoy the Shabbat, which would be a dedication to the Creator, to be able to serve God and be available for the Creator? So though it starts up with the Shabbat, it comes into work, but then it goes and springs back into the Shabbat. We work as Israelites. We work as the people of God, so that when Shabbat comes, we are available to be utilized by the Creator. So that is what one of the great things about this, about the Shabbat itself. And then when we talk about the land, it says, when we talk about the land of the sabbatical year, we just read not too long ago about the fruits being uncircumcised. If you plant something that's uncircumcised for 3 years, the 4th year, is holy, unto the Lord. So you only can eat it in the place that's designated for us, the sanctuary proper. And then the 5th year, you can eat it anywhere. And in the 6th year, the land is blessed. And you say, wow, if it was holy, why wasn't it blessed at that time? That should be a question that always come up. That if it's holy in the 4th year, shouldn't that be the year that is blessed? Because it's holy. And then you got to ask the concept, what is the concept of being holy and being blessed? And then we know later on, as we go in the portion, because I'm not going to spend that much time in it. I would prefer everybody to read through it. We have a sabbatical year that we supposed to have study. And every 7 years, as we read, when you ain't working the land, you're supposed to learn Torah. That's in as we read the book, you'll find that we're supposed to learn Torah that whole year. So a whole year we're supposed to be immerse ourselves in the study of Torah, learning Torah. In the Apocrypha, it says a laboring man has no time for the study of Torah. Basically because you're not going to be that focused, because if you're working too hard, you're constantly working, you're not going to be focused on learning thou shalls and thou shall not. You're not going to be too interested in the observance to certain things if you got to work that hard and you become a slave to your labor. All right. So to be able to observe Shabbat, to be able to observe the sabbatical year, and as we get further on, to be able to observe the Yovel, that is a luxury. To say I can take off, that's a luxury. So as we look further, I'm just going to read a little bit about the Yovel. And thou shalt number 7 Shabbats of years unto thee, 7 times 7 years, and there shall be unto thee the days of 7 Sabbaths of years, even 40 and 9. And then thou shalt make a proclamation with the blast of the horn on the 10th day of the 7th month. In the day of atonement shall ye make proclamation with the horn throughout all your land, and ye shall hallow the 50th year, and proclaim liberty throughout the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. A jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. And ye shall not sow, neither reap that which groweth of itself in it, nor gather the grapes in it of the undressed vines, for it is a jubilee. It shall be holy unto you, and ye shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. And this year, the jubilee, ye shall return every man unto his possession. All right, so now, this is an interesting thing. You see different apps talking about become debt-free. Different companies talking about become debt-free. Well, to become debt-free, the only society that really, really had it where you could become debt-free is right here in Torah. That's the only place in any society that ever existed where you could become debt-free. But we notice that when you blow the horns, and that's what and that's what's so important. I want to focus on in the 9th verse. Thou shalt make a proclamation with the blast of the horn, the 10th day of the 7th month. We got a day called Yom Teruah. All right, and it's usually referred to it as we just read about the 3 times. I mean, the holy days in Leviticus, the 23rd chapter, and it's called Zikron Torah, remembering the blowing. All right, remember to blow. So when we hear the people blowing on Rosh Chodesh, the 7th month, and most people will think that is the blast that you're supposed to hear. No, when we talk about Yom, when we talk about Rosh Chodesh, Zikron Torah, it's to remember that 9 days later, you got to be prepared to proclaim liberty. Now, every year we proclaim a certain type of liberty for us, the sins and stuff of that nature. But especially on the Yovel, It's a different type of liberty. It's man of all types of release on the Yovel. So here it is that the Creator telling us on a yearly basis to remember to blow the shofar. Remember to blow the shofar. Remember to blow the shofar when the 10th day come around. So don't we hear people making 100 blasts of the shofar on Yom, Teruah and stuff like that. Basically saying 100 blessings a day, and a whole lot of other stuff that's involved with it. It's a day of remembering to blow, not necessarily that blowing is the blow that you have on the 10th. So it's like, get ready, get prepared on Yom Teruah, and don't miss proclaiming that particular day when it gets there. And it's usually on your Kippur when you're trying to be free from all your sins. So can you imagine that? On the day that you are afflicting your souls and you're trying to become at one with the Creator. So it's the most appropriate. And the thing is that proclaiming liberty, not saying free, but liberty, which is a different word that's used here in the book, throughout the land. And a person, with liberty, you have a liberty to pursue certain things. You have liberty to return back to, your formal self without being already in debt. So that's an important stage, and it would fix the world economy today if we had something like that. Nobody would be broke perpetually. And we know that though they have observed, some places in the land of Israel today, in the state of Israel, they have what they call a Shemitah year, where they tie off certain fields that's owned by, people of that follow the book, and they're marked clearly that this is, when they selling fruits at the market, they will say, this is not from the Shemitah. This is not from that particular year. They do that there. One of the problems is that they, you got to be a real sovereign country, and you have to have real ownership of all the land in your sovereign country, in your country. Now, we know we got the state of Israel, but I'm saying you have land owned by, different ethnicities within the state of Israel. And therefore, if they're going to work their land, they're going to do what they do on their land. So, because now they have a different dispensation. But had everything been set up according to the way the Creator set it up in the Tanakh, then the people who follow it in practice, who the people of God that they will follow this, and everyone will have a right to feel and eat, the produce, not harvest, but to be able to eat from every place in the land. So you're not supposed to harvest, but you can still grab maybe a piece of this or a piece of that off your land in the Shemitah year. You just can't actually talk about I'm harvesting this. So we have things where we look out for the disadvantage. The corn in our fields never belonged to us. The land in the seventh year don't belong to us. The land in the 49th and the 50th year don't belong to us. That means everybody have a right to it. And we also finally realized that the land is God. So we sojourners with the Creator. So those are some of the things I wanted to bring out in that, without being too long in that area there. But I want to focus on another point, because they have a term that they refer to, and when we talk about Shabbaton, Shabbatot, or Shabbat, Shabbatot, Shanim, Sheba Shanaim. All right. So you have, well, people had this thing about the Shabbatot. anything where you rest on, and God said it becomes holy, it becomes like a Shabbat. That means to be on strike. It means to rest. So the thing is that you have a Shabbat a year, and then you say the land need rest. And when we wind up going to Babylon for 70 years, it said now the land can enjoy Shabbats. So hence the question that I raised earlier is really doubtful that they actually observed the Shemitah year and while they was in the land. There's a lot of things where they was living, have cat, like they forgot what the Lord says in the land. So, and it said while you in Babylon for 70 years, the land can enjoy its Shabbats. So that is that's something that you might want to discuss more with your teachers in that area, and those that observe the Shemitah year in Israel. You say, okay, if we observe the Shemitah year, then we can't observe it because how are we going to observe the Yovel? Now, during the Babylonian period, when they started coming back, they started doing what they call the probuls, which is something different. I'm not going to go into it now because that's not, pretty much what I'm going to focus on. But where it's similar to what people do today, that they during Passover in certain congregations, they say, okay, I'm gonna sell my comments to an outsider, and so just in case I have some in my house that I don't know where it's at, or I left some here and there, I don't own it, so I sold it, and they buy it back later on. So now that's something they came up with during the Babylonian period because people was afraid to lend after it got close to the Yovel, and say, well, I'm gonna lose out. And one of the things too, when a person sold his land in the Yovel, it's counted according to the number of crops if you want to buy it back before the Yovel, because the guy that brought the land got to work the land. And when he worked the land, he got to go through the process of saying, when I'm going to make me some real crops, when I'm going to have something I could gain from it. So when a person sold the land, and when they get close to the Yovel, you got to say, well, how much? And he's told that so if a man waxes poor, he's supposed to sell only a portion of the land. So it's another area there. Now, one thing I like to focus on in this particular chapter, and I'm going to just breeze through it just a little bit, when it talks about even if people sell themselves for, running on hard times. But one of the things I like to look at, the 25th verse and the 25th chapter says, well, but let me go to 35 to save time. And if thy brother be waxing poor, and his means fail with thee, then thou shalt uphold him as a stranger, and a settler shall he live with thee. All right. So what do they mean by uphold them? Uphold them up, lift them up. What do that mean in a sense? And then if you look at Psalms 41, let me see if I can get that right quick. Psalms 41 and 2, it says, happy is he that considereth the poor. The Lord will deliver him in the day of evil. The term they use consider is think about it. And the word they use comes from a word which is called seko. Seko means to use intellect. If a man, you see him getting ready to be destitute, see him getting ready to be broken, and you see him get ready to be broke poor, then what you're supposed to do before you let him get too far down, destitute, you're supposed to try to help him before he get too far down, before he get too broken. It's almost like because now it's going to be harder to lift him up. It's going to take more strength to lift him up. And some people will say, oh, I'm going to wait so he can learn a lesson, then I'm going to bail him out. But you're going to use more effort to bail him out. And the Lord tell you, you're not supposed to see him wax poor. So therefore, you wait until he go down to teach him a lesson. It's not the lesson that the Creator wants you to teach him in that manner. So when you see a brother, and some people be going down and losing things, they might be wealthy, they have too much pride to ask about certain things, ask for help and assistance. So therefore, you got to find a way to say, okay, he got too much pride or she got too much pride. So maybe, I could say, look, see what you can do with this here. I see you doing something, something well with that. You might throw something out at him, give him a little something, money, whatever the case is, and say, look, you might even come up with a story like, well, you see, you had something laying around already that you didn't really know it was laying around. Maybe some advice I heard you say, and you gave me some advice, and I figure you earned this part because of your advice. So I'm paying you for your advice that you gave me. So is that way you will save face. But those are some of the things that, for us, looking out for the poor in that area there. But and the last thing I'd like to speak on in this particular portion here, it says in the 26th chapter, in the 26th chapter of the same, they finish it out. In the second verse, it says, ye shall keep my Sabbaths and reverence my sanctuary. I am the Lord. So it started off talking about the Shabbat, and it ends on the Shabbat. So your main goal in life is constantly trying to reach a Shabbat. Why do we want to try to constantly reach the Shabbat? Not so that I can say, I ain't got to plow the field, not so that I ain't got to chop any wood, but actually now my main goal is to be available for God to use me. That's my main goal. I'm just going to touch on a little bit, and then if I go into Ecclesiastes on the torah that goes along with this, which is Jeremiah, the 32nd chapter of Jeremiah, and it goes from the 6th verse, and some people might stop at the 22nd verse, but a lot of people go to the 27th. So Jeremiah, the 32nd chapter, 6th verse, I would say to the 27th. And it's interesting what we learn here. Now, Jeremiah was a prophet. A lot of people call him the crying prophet or weeping prophet. He's the only one that actually witnessed the temple being destroyed. So I just want to read about this because this goes along with this sabbatical year. It goes along with about, bailing people out of a situation. So let's read what goes on here just a little bit, because I find something very interesting here. And Jeremiah said, the words of the Lord came unto me, saying, behold, Caniel, the son of Shalom, thy uncle shall come unto thee, saying, buy thee my field that is in Anathoth, for the right of redemption is thine to buy it. So in other words, he said, buy his field. So that means right then and there that he ran on hard times. And since he ran on hard times, he wanted to, keep it, get it back a little early. And Caniel, my uncle's son, came to me in the court of the prison, according to the word of the Lord, and said unto me, buy my field, I pray thee, that is in Anathoth, which is in the country of Benjamin. For the right of inheritance is thine, and the redemption is thine. Buy it for thyself. Then I knew that it was the word of the Lord. Well, you mean to tell me that he didn't trust what God had said? But it's something I find more intriguing in this particular area here. When it goes on, it says, and I brought the field of Hannah, my uncle's son, that was in Anathoth, and weighed him the money, even 17 shekels of silver. And I scribed in a deed and sealed it, and took witnesses and weighed him the money in the balance. Right. So I took the deed of the purchase both that which was sealed according to the law and custom. See, that's something that you learn here, the law and a custom about how they did this transaction, and that which was open. And I gave the deed of the purchase unto Baruch. Baruch was Jeremiah's secretary, for those who might wonder who he is. The son of Neriah, the son of Masadiah, in the sight of Hananiah, my uncle's son. And he keeps on my uncle's son instead of cousin, which is interesting too. And in the presence of the witnesses that subscribed the deed of the purchase before all the Jews that sat in the court of the prison. And I charged Baruch before them, saying, Thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, take these deeds, this deed of the purchase, both which is sealed and this deed which is open, and put them in an earthen vessel, that they may continue many days. For thus said the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, houses and fields and vineyards shall be brought again in the land. I'm going to stop right there. That's all I want to bring out. But some of the interesting things I find out here. All right, and before I go into the Ecclesiastes, and I read that for a reason, because it got stuff to do with balance, imbalance, and we're talking about, and they talk about weighing out the silver. Here, Jeremiah's a prisoner. You mean tell me you got money in prison, making transaction in prison, and yet you got to bail your cousin out who's not in prison, and the witnesses and the whole transaction is in the prison yard, in the prison court. So you are not a free man. That's why he said sometimes money can't buy you out of certain situations. Because he had 17, at least he was able to weigh out 17 shekels of silver to purchase a land from his and redeem his cousin's property. And yet he's in prison. Now, how ironic is that? And then you say, oh, I got to have this transaction witnessed, and we don't know who these witnesses are. So that's that, and yet we talk about the Yovel, about proclaiming liberty, and here's a man that has no liberty, that's helping alleviate another guy's captivity for us, the feel is poverty, helping him up. So it's a lot more I can say on that particular portion, but and I just wanted to point out those areas there, because when what we learn and get a vision of after the exiles come back from Babylon, you wonder why I'm coming back to a place that inhabitants living on the property. Where I'm gonna live at. Cyrus said, those who's willing to build a house. He didn't say something about, I'm gonna give you a property back. He said, those that want to go back to build the house for the Lord, come on back. Now, where you going to stay? Where you going to live? So this thing teaches that the deed that Jeremiah did, what people did when they did to make transactions, and they dig up different artifacts today. And that's why I wanted to bring this out, that they would write the copy that's open on the deed, and then they would have another deed sealed within that, in there. So the outside will have what the contract is. And then when you break that and go into the inside, it should say the exact same thing. And then if you put it in a pottery or a vessel, plow it down, then, with the word correction, which was like, something used to plow, you would bury it in a jar and hide it, because somebody could destroy the evidence of the deed, the receipt. That's why he charged his secretary to put it in a spot that's safe, because he know they're going to captivity. They're going to be doing some 70-year time. So what happens when you come back? Who actually owned this land when we find out that other people, the poor, stayed in the land, and other people got in the land? So how am I gonna get my property back? Do I ever own this house? Did I ever own this land? Is this really my ancestors' land? So that is teaching you a lot of lesson in history just from looking at the situation with Jeremiah. And like I said, he's a prisoner. He ain't a free man because he talked a little bit. And the people didn't like the way he talked, such as the king. The king didn't like the way he talked. So it's a very interesting story when you go through it. I'm going to the book of Ecclesiastes, but you could discuss more and, with the leaderships and stuff like that, and look into it and make the comparison between the sabbatical year, the Yovel, and then look at Jeremiah, how Torah goes with it, and how they deal with property debts and aiding another individual. And sometimes you can have, all the money in the world and can't buy anything with it. All right. So we're going to go to Ecclesiastes, the second chapter.
We're in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 2, starting from verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
I said in my heart, come now, I will try thee with mirth and enjoy pleasure. And behold, this also was vanity.
Hold it right there. All right. This is Solomon talking to himself. Like I said, the first 10 chapters, Solomon describing some of the things he went through. And he said, look here, I would try thee with myrrh. I want to see how it is to enjoy myself, to really get on out there, let it all hang out. That's what Solomon said. I want to see what kind of heart I got. Usually we say, take heed to yourself, man. And then one philosopher, I think it's either Aristotle, if not Plato, was his mentor, said, man, know thyself. And that's centuries later. So Solomon wanted to figure out, look, I want to party. I want to see how this thing feel, and see if my heart can handle that. But continue.
It reads,
I said
verse 2, I said of laughter, it is mad, and of mirth, what doth it accomplish?
Right then and there. He says, why would he say laughter is mad? We all like a good laugh every now and then. We would pay a comedian to help us laugh sometime. We like a good joke to laugh, But Solomon said, look, and he stretched out in that area altogether. And then, but he came up and said, look here, it's mad. Some of the silly jokes we laugh at because it's so silly, we laugh at it. And he said, and our mirth, what does it accomplish? I said, after the laugh, what we doing? What we get out of laughing? Continue.
Verse 3, it reads, I search in my heart how to pamper my flesh with wine, and my heart conducting itself with wisdom, how yet to lay hold on folly, till I might see which it was best for the sons of men that they should do under the heaven the few days of their life.
Hold it right there. He said, I'm still thinking now. I still got my wisdom with me. But I got to do a little folly, man. And I got to weigh this out. Because, I got all this heavy, heavy wisdom. But I wanted to see how it really feels. Is it really, since I start off my story with vanity of vanity, all this vanity, vexation of spirit, then if nothing lasts forever, my wisdom and my folly, how can I see which is better? Since both of them is destined to end. And this was Solomon, this was one of the plagues that Solomon had, and for us thinking. Continue.
Verse 4 reads, I made me great works, I build me houses, I planted me vineyards, I made me gardens and parks, and I planted trees in them of all kinds of fruit. I made me pools of water, to water therefrom the wood springing up with trees. I acquired.
Hold on. He had an irrigation system before. Irrigation system was the main thing. Now we read about the hanging gardens of Babylon when Nebuchadnezzar did it for his princess that was homesick, and he built a garden there, and that became one of the major capitals. But Solomon really made a paradise around him and a real serious oasis. And he said, I didn't need anybody to water it. I had it already set where it'd be irrigated on a regular without flooding with all kinds of fruit. Can you imagine an area where you could grow everything in the world? Everything in the world. I mean, certain fruits go in certain countries and they'll go in other countries. And a lot grapes and stuff like that was brought over here to the New World, or what they call the New World in America. Grapes, they didn't have grapes growing in America. They brought certain things over to America. So, and certain other fruits and stuff they brought to America and started growing in America. So Solomon had a garden with fruits that was able to be grown from every spot in the world. Continue.
Verse 7, it reads, I acquired men servants and maid servants. I had servants born in my house. Also, I had great possessions of herds and flocks, above
Keep
all
on.
that were before me in Jerusalem.
Hold it right there. Hold it. Before we go any further. So not only he had a greenhouse thing going, but he said, anybody on record before me in Jerusalem, I got more than anybody. Men servant, I'm a king. So I'm living. So I'm saying I'm really living large. I'm really got it going on like that. I have no want for anything. Well, as soon as I tell somebody something, it's handled. So, and that means that he surpassed his father. He surpassed, Saul. And not only that, if you wasn't an Israelite, anybody that ever lived there that was mighty, he surpassed them. At that time. At that time, that means he said, I know what they had, but nobody have it like this. Continue.
Verse 8, it reads, I gathered me also silver and gold, and treasures such as kings and the provinces have as their own. I got me men singers and women singers, and the delights of the sons of men, women very many.
Hold right there. So he said, I have my own entertainment, set up. Talk about the Hollywood. He had all that. You know what I mean? A stage show. He had all that. He said, so he said, I didn't have to go anywhere for entertainment. It's right here where I'm at. Most people travel to see certain things. Other people, things come to them. So Solomon had everything around him without him have to travel. We don't read where Solomon ever traveled anywhere. Can you imagine that? He didn't need to travel much, simply because he had everything built up around him. David, you read, he had to travel for some, various reasons, but you read, he over here in this neighborhood, he over here in that neighborhood, he over here in another neighborhood, he over here in a strange country here. But Solomon, you read Saul, he traveling all over, fighting people here. They got to go over here, they got to run over here, and he pursuing David over there. And Solomon, all I do is stay home. That's all. I ain't going anywhere. Right here, everything come to me. And I built my world. Like that song, build my whole world around you. He built his world around him. Continue.
Verse 9, it reads, so I was great and increased more than all that were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom stood me in stead. Right. And whatsoever my eyes desire, I kept not from them. I withheld not my heart from any joy, for my heart had joy of all my labor, and this was my portion from all my labor.
We'll go to 11th verse.
Then I looked on all the works that my hand...
Before you go to 11, one of the things is that he didn't deny himself anything. Now that sounds very dangerous. Very dangerous. But this is a testimony that he's saying concerning himself, because he wanted to experience everything, and so he could say firsthand what it is, because nothing will last forever. And he said, but he get this thing set up and enjoy it and get and see why people pursue it, because some people only pursue one aspect of what he got, and he pursue all the aspects of what a man might want to entail. And he talking about women too, So, we know he has 700 wives and 300 concubines. And it's only 365 days in a solar year. So how often you gonna get to the next woman? 3 years from now? Continue.
Verse 11, it reads, Then I looked on all the works that my hands had wrought, and on the labor that I had labored to do. And behold, all was vanity and a striving after wind, and there was no profit under the sun. I turned myself to behold wisdom, and madness and folly. For what can the man do that cometh after the king? Even that which hath been already done.
I want to stop right there one moment. All right. Because he said, what can a man do that cometh after the king? In other words, who could tell me what I can't do? That's what he's saying. Who could tell me what I can't do? I'm the king. So I could go out on a limb and act this way as much as I want. And I could go to the other side and act this way as much as I want. And who going to tell me anything? And yes, Solomon had counselors, because we read about that in the book. He had counselors. Then you wonder, if he had counselors, what was their role? If a man lived like that, if he lived like that, you say, well, what are those counselors doing? Continue.
Verse 13, it reads, Then I saw that wisdom excelleth folly, as far as light excelleth darkness.
Well, at least he came to a conclusion that if you're going to go out, and lend your heart to anything and pursue anything, he said, folly has a short-lived limit and wisdom goes further. Now, I read when I was dealing with the Proverbs before, wisdom spoke about itself at length. Folly didn't talk that much about itself in the very next chapter. So here it is that Solomon telling you, I did all that stuff. I did all this crazy mess, but I know wisdom is better. So he did reach a conclusion that was sound. But how did he make his moves? Continue.
Verse 14, The wise man, his eyes are in his head, but the fool walketh in darkness.
Okay,
and I also perceive that one event happeneth to them all.
Okay, he said, look here, everybody go the same way. One event happened to them all. What he's talking about? Continue.
Verse 15, Then said I in my heart, as it happeneth to the fool, so will it happen even to me. And why was I then more wise?
Oh, right there.
I said in my heart.
So he now he's starting to feel dismal, because now he got another dawn of wisdom going to hit him. Continue.
The end of verse 15. Then I said in my heart that this also is vanity. Verse 16. For of the wise man, even as of the fool, there is no remembrance forever, seeing that in the days to come all will long ago have been forgotten, and how much the wise man died even as the fool.
Keep going.
So I hated life, because the work that is wrought under the sun was grievous unto me, for all is vanity and a striving after wind.
All right, in other words, why do kings build statues? They build statues because they say, I'm subject to be forgotten. You know what I mean? That's why they build cities and name cities after themselves and different things like that, different edifices after themselves, because I'm subject to be forgotten. So Solomon said, look, that's a depressing state, that I know that me and the fool both going to leave up out of here and be forgotten. Your own family members and 4 generations may not even know your name. What was great-great-great-grandfather's name? And we just talking about great-grandfather. All right, the grandfather they might know, but you know your great-grandfather's name? And do you know his father's name of that great-grandfather? Most of us don't. The mother? Nope. Siblings he had? Nope. Unless somebody was write something about him. So he'd be forgotten in your own immediate family, and you are offshoot of that. So talking about looking at your roots. Continue.
Verse 18, it reads, And I hated all my labor wherein I labored under the sun, seeing
Keep
that I
going.
must leave it unto the man that shall be after me.
Wow. We all going to do that. Whatever you own, somebody else going to own after you. No matter what. That house you work for, the car you work for, the clothes, the jewelry. Somebody going to be wearing your clothes if it's still in good shape. Somebody going to wear your shoes if it's in good shape. Somebody going to be in that house if it's still standing. Everything you own going to be transferred to somebody else. Now that's the worry about, because you don't work for this. You don't earn that. You don't put that sweat into it. And you say, I'm enjoying it now. But what happens? A lot of people say, well, I don't care what happens after I leave. But you should always be concerned about what happens to stuff that you labor for after you leave. That's why they talk about wills these days. But continue.
Verse 19. And who knoweth whether he will be a wise man or a fool? Yet will he have rule over all my labor wherein I have labored,
Keep going.
and wherein I have shown myself wise under the sun. This also is vanity. Therefore I turned about to cause my heart to despair concerning all the labor wherein I had labored under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is with wisdom, and with knowledge, and with skill. Yet to a man that have not labored therein shall he leave it for his portion. This also is vanity and a great evil.
Hold it right there. Right then and there. So you said, I got a son that's a dummy. Or a grandson that's a dummy. I see him. He already, ain't working properly mentally upstairs. And I know whatever I got, I'm gonna leave it to somebody else, and they're not gonna appreciate it. And most children that grow up around what we used to say silver spoon or gold spoon, they usually don't appreciate stuff. Even your own children in your own house. How many times you had to tell them, you're not in that room, why don't you cut out the light? Why you leave the water running so long? Why the refrigerator door ain't shut right? Why you leave the food sitting on the table without covering it up and putting it up? Because they didn't work for it. They didn't work for it at all, because they know, and they got to be actually educated in those areas. And Solomon worried about this stuff, because even if you left a will behind, there's no guarantee that your will be done when you're gone. And that's what Solomon's saying right here. Continue.
Verse 22. For what have a man of all his labor, and of the striving of his heart, wherein he laboreth under the sun? For all his days are pains, and his occupation vexation. Yea, even in the night his heart taketh not rest. This also is vanity.
Now that means right there, he worried about what he got to do tomorrow, and also, did he do enough today? And is it safe? When we got to punch the time clock and go to work, we're gonna say, all right, we know we're gonna do the same job again today that we did yesterday, pretty much yesterday, but we're gonna say, well, is it gonna be beneficial? All right, let's finish this out.
Verse 24, it reads, there is nothing better for a man than that he should eat and drink and make his soul enjoy pleasure for his labor. This also I saw, that it is from the hand of God.
Oh, God, he said, and first of all, he was a pessimist, but then he said, look here, if you can enjoy, the pleasure for your labor, he said, that's from God. If you could really enjoy it, because some people work so hard and don't get a chance to enjoy the stuff they work for. And it is often and sad it happens. Continue. Last few verses.
Verse 25. For who will eat or who will enjoy it, if not I? For to the man that is good in his sight, he giveth wisdom and knowledge and joy. But to the sinner he giveth the task to gather and to heap up, that he may leave to him that is good in the sight of God. This also is vanity and a striving after wind. Hallelujah.
All right, now that last verse, I just want to focus on that last verse. The sinner work hard too, you know. He achieve a lot of stuff by various means, but he don't get the chance to enjoy it because God said, okay, you don't deserve that. I'm going to give it to somebody that's worthy. So even the sinner that work hard, doing all kind of crazy stuff, you know, whatever he's doing, you know, it could be stealing, it could be somewhere else where he just, you know, just, you know, not too good of a person. And he accumulate a lot of wealth. The Creator might cause him, it could cause him to transpire prematurely. And all this stuff goes to a person more worthier than himself. And when we think about that, he told Abraham, the iniquity of the Amorites are not yet fulfilled. You know, when we go into the land, Moses said, you know, wells dig that we dig is not. Vineyards, olive trees which we planted not. Houses which we built not. So we went into a land when we left out of Egypt and left the wilderness after 40 years into a house that's already built, which raises a lot of other questions that we talk about later on in another reading. But I hope you got something on what I said, and any mistakes been my own. And I greet everybody, you know, Shalom Aleichem and early Shabbat Shalom.
Todah Rabbah Nasik, thank you once again for your wisdom. I pray that the Most High God will continue to bless you, keep you. May the Most High God bless everyone out there on the internet land. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. May the Most High God bless you, and Shabbat Shalom. Hallelujah.
Let's get knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The hot CHOKMAH here to push it through your speakers. Judgment, truth, and love should be coming from the leaders. Yeah, knowledge, wisdom, understanding. We'll do our standing. All praises to the Most High, His laws and commandments. The hot CHOKMAH here to push it through your speakers.